Your Excellencies,
we are very happy here today at the Land of Equity to host these important personalities for the Progressive Governors Forum meeting at the Kebbi State Presidential Banquet Hall in Kebbi. The meeting today is a federal government Progressive Governors Forum parley with the theme Policy Synergy to Ensure Development. My name is Abdul Muhammad Bello, your link to the live telecast. And co-presenting with me is Abdul Salam Abubakar.
Thank you very much, Abdul Muhammad Bello.
The Honorable Minister for Finance.
Once more, welcome to the Land of Equity, Your Excellencies. The Federal Government Progressive Governors Forum
we also invite
Pali has the objective of evaluating current challenges
special advisor to the
faced by state governments in accessing opportunities and resources provided by federal government's policy initiatives, as well as ensuring that all progressive Congress states are able to take full advantages.
The National Security Advisor,
the Federal Government Governors Forum Pali will focus on the following sectors: security, finance and revenue generation, agriculture, education, and social investment. Accordingly, the following federal government officials are scheduled to make the lead presentations. Number 1, Chief Audu Ogbe, Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Permit me
Number 2,
to invite
Mrs. Kemi
His
Adeosun,
Excellency
Honorable Minister of Finance.
Governor
Number 3,
State,
Malam
for
Adamu
the
Adamu,
opening prayer.
Honorable Minister
Your
of
Excellency.
Education. Number 4, Hajia Mariam Uwais, Special Advisor to President on Investment. And Major General Muhammad Babagana Munguno, retired, National Security Advisor.
باركت على إبراهيم وعلى إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم اجعل اجتماعنا هذا اجتماعا مرحوما واجعل بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل فينا ولا معنا شقيا ولا محروما ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذريتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Permit me, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, are working behind time, so we are taking the issues straight. As we proceed, we're going to continue on recognitions. We are going to invite His Excellency Simon Lalong, Governor of Plateau State, opening prayer the Christian way. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Okay, shall we pray? In Jesus' name. Father, we want to thank you for this great opportunity. We thank you especially for joining mercies. We thank you, Lord, as we prepare to gather to discuss issues that will bring development to this country. As we prepare for the ceremony, we ask that you continue to guide us, provide the wisdom, provide the guidance. We ask all this in Jesus' name.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Like I said, because of time, we'll be recognizing our guests as we proceed. Permit me, Your Excellencies, to invite the host governor, His Excellency Atiku Bagudu, Governor of Kebbi State, for his welcome address. Your Excellency.
Zoom out.
This is the host, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Kebbi State Governor, delivering his speech. Waiting for his speech. Let me quickly take you back to the formation of the All Progressives Congress, which is today the ruling party. I mean the formation of the party. The All Progressives Congress is a Nigerian political party formed on 6 February 2013.
Chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, Rochas Okorocha, Your Excellency, the Chairman of Nigeria's Governors Forum, Honorable Abdulaziz Yari Abubakar, Your Excellency, the Chairman of Northern Governors Forum, Alhaji Kashim Shatima, Your Excellency, Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, my brother, Executive Governor of Sokoto, Your Excellency, my senior brother, Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, Honorable Aminu Masari of Kazina State, and my senior brother also, Honorable Abdullahi Umar Ganduji of Kano State. Your Excellency, Alhaji Badaru Abubakar of Jigawa, Your Excellency, Barrister Simon Lalong of Plateau, Your Excellency, Muhammad Bendo Jibrila of Adamawa, the Deputy Governors of Niger State, Deputy Governor of Kwara, Deputy Governor Oyo, Deputy Governor Kogi State, the distinguished senators of the Federal Republic, Senator Mohamed Adamu Aderu, Senator Dr. Yahya Abdullahi of all of Kebbi State, honorable ministers, Minister of Justice and AG of Alhaji Abakar Malami, Minister of Agriculture, Chief Audu Ogbe, Minister of Education, Alhaji Adamu Adamu, our royal fathers, the Emir of Gwandu, Alhaji Muhammad Ilyasu Bashar, the Emir of Argungu, Alhaji Ismail Emera, the Emir of Yauri, Dr. Zayanu Abdullahi, the Emir of Zuru, Alhaji Muhammad Sani Sami Gomo II. Honorable Speaker, Kebbi State House of Assembly, and I'm sorry, in my earlier recitals of protocol due to pressure, I forgot my two senior brothers, Obeni Ralph Arebeshola, the governor of Osun State. I apologize. And distinguished Senator Ibikule Amosun, the executive governor of Ogun State. I apologize for that omission. The Honorable Speaker, Kebbi State House of Assembly, and distinguished members, the Secretary to the State Government and other members of State Executive Councils here present, the BGF Secretariat under Alhaji Salisu Lukman, security agencies, and other distinguished invitees. For want of time, I will say good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for coming. I wish to, on behalf of the good people of Kebbi State, welcome you all to this important party. I wish in particular to say a big thank you to the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, for agreeing to visit and attend this rally, and he will join us in due course. And the national chairman of the APC, Chief Oyegun, who will also be joining us, and some honorable ministers that are still being expected. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the choice of Kebbi State to host this all-important rally is a honor and collective belief in our progress and stability as a state. This gesture shall be cherished and remembered for a very long time to come. Whatever is discussed here today is expected to contribute significantly towards enhancing the growth and development of our dear state. Thus, the critical objectives of sharing experiences and perspectives among APC-controlled states, developing federal government, state government relationship in order to ensure sustainable development, as well as actionable recommendation based on the social democratic philosophy of the party is expected to guide our discussion in this meeting. I had cause at another forum in the last 2 weeks to remark that the patriotism, enthusiasm, and commitment demonstrated by President Muhammadu Buhari and acting President Professor Osinbajo to our quest for national development could not have been better. And those cynics who do not appreciate it must know that Nigeria is getting its act together in all respect. And I make bold to say in this welcome address that each of the 36 governors of Nigeria will testify that the National Economic Council, which is a platform for federal government, states interaction for policy development, as we have been told by those who have been there before, has never been better. And it has been under the able leadership of Professor Osinbajo, the acting president, is now an intellectual body which every time it meets, all that can help Nigeria develop is being brought to debate, is being brought to analysis and interrogation so that the best result can be created for Nigeria. So we are quite proud about that. And some of the successes we have achieved in security, in energy, in economic management have been as a result of that enthusiasm and patriotism, and we thank them all, and we pray for the safe and quick return of President Muhammadu Buhari to continue the good job. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this Parley on policy synergy to ensure development is one of the Progressive Governance Forum strategies of meeting the expectation of the electorate. It is my fervent hope that this Parley will further strengthen federal and state government cross-program coordination, as well as ensure that we are able to align ourselves to initiatives of the federal government. Consequently, we expect briefing from key ministries of the federal government in order to review progress made in respect of the APC vision, share experiences and perspectives from different states, and identify emerging issues. Your Excellencies and my dear colleagues, permit me to humbly remind us that the state governors under the banner of APC, as state governors under the banner of APC, we must remain fully committed to the vision of providing transparent, accountable, responsible, and responsive leadership to our citizens in line with the party's manifesto and the charter with our people. We are also aware of the great expectations from our citizens with regard to the dividends of democracy in spite of the dwindling income accruing to our various states in real terms. It's quite noteworthy that in spite of all the challenges, Nigeria has responded to the great security challenge which has bedeviled our country. And even in spite of regrettable and sporadic events like the last tragic incidents we had in Borno involving the military, those who are exploring for oil, lecturers of the university, and civilians who regrettably were caught up in the tragedy, substantial progress has been made across the country in terms of security. And Kebbi State has benefited immensely because before July 2015, as the Emir of Zulu and Emir of Yauri will so like to say all the time, people in those two emirates, a lot of farmers and herdsmen in those two emirates have stopped their economic activity. They are not going to farms. They are not. So today, that is history. We are back on track, and we are making progress. I wish time permits for me to tell you all that we have done in Kebbi and all the successes we have recorded, but unfortunately, I realize that we are getting pressed for time. So, Chairman, I will skip that, and I'm sure there will be opportunity to talk to it. I wish to, however, briefly inform Your Excellencies that in consonance with our robust party manifesto, our effort to ensure we fulfill our campaign promises of wealth creation, eradication of poverty, insecurity, we in Kebbi have ardently embraced the federal government agricultural programs and job creation programs. And the successes, we thank His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari and the acting president and Central Bank of Nigeria, Ministry of Agriculture for all the successes that we have recorded in the agricultural field. We have achieved steady power supply in at least 16 of our 21 local governments, and unemployment has reduced significantly. It is even noteworthy that today, most of our large-scale farmers cannot find enough labor because most of our young women and women are in production themselves. So I think that is one of the biggest successes. Finally, while I implore us to continue to pray for the unity and progress of our beloved country, it is my sincere hope that the serene environment, peace, and stability that prevail in the state will afford us the conducive atmosphere to brainstorm and search for solutions that will guarantee efficient and effective delivery of the dividends of democracy for our people. The people of Kebbi State, and I'm glad our emirs are here, are always committed to one united, indivisible Nigeria where every Nigerian will feel safe, equal, and given the right opportunity. So, Chairman, I welcome you all, and I thank you for the opportunity to make this remark. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Can we make that applause resounding the more for Excellency?
That was the welcome address from the host governor, His Excellency Atiku Bagudu. Well, my colleague Abdul Salam started with a brief history of the formation of the All Progressive Congress Party that happened to accommodate the members of the Progressive Governors Forum. But first, he's taking the summary of the welcome address by His Excellency Atiku Bagudu before going back to the history. Abdul Salam.
Thank you very much, Abdul Muttalib Muhammad Bello. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kebbi State, Senator Atiku Abubakar Bagudu, in his welcome address, welcomed the participants in this Pali, that is Federal Government Progressive Governors Forum Pali, to share ideas on sustainable development, security, social investment, and a lot of others. This Pali, according to the Governor, is aimed at meeting the objectives of the governed. The Governor of Kebbi State also promised that the progressive governors would be transparent, responsible representatives of the people. He promised that as one of their party manifesto, they are bent on eradicating poverty. And in Kebbi State, they have introduced the Anchor Borrowers Program of the federal government, CBN, and Ministry of Agriculture, in which a lot of people are employed. And also, there is also very steady power supply in Kebbi State, according to the Executive Governor of Kebbi State. Permit me to, I started
our colleague and our brother, the Executive Governor of Kebbi State, our dear host, Governor Atiku Bagudu, Your Excellencies, my colleagues, the governors of the APCs, the honorable ministers here present, particularly the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Agriculture, Education, and our dear sister, the Special Assistant to the President. Your Royal Highnesses here, too must mention, members of the Kebbi State Executive Council, not leaving the Speaker and the House of Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, the Acting President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is the special guest of honor, will soon be here to join us for this very important function. Let me remind all Nigerians that we are the progressive governors of the APC who had the mandate of the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to govern this nation at the various state levels and the federal government of Nigeria, ably led by His Excellency, President Muhammad Buhari, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We must say that we are grateful to all Nigerians and to all of you seated here for the support given to the President, even during the period that he had the health challenges. But we are proud to announce to all Nigerians that our President is in good health and will soon come back to resume his duties. But while he was away, the acting President ensured that there was no gap or vacuum in the carrying out of administrations of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We're eternally grateful to the acting President for a job well done. We are elected by the people of Nigeria, who took an oath of office, promising to do good to all manner of people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And by that extension, we guaranteed happiness to all Nigerians. 2 years down the line of this election, we, the Progressive Governors Forum, are here to look at what we can do and what we must do to ensure that dividend of democracy is given to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We are grateful that we were elected, and we had promised Nigerians we shall do our best. Despite the fact that our President has some health challenges, we want to remind all Nigerians that we are just 2 years down the line of administration of Mr. President. And when we came into national power, we came when Nigeria was at the brink of total economic collapse, with the oil price dropping in a geometrical progression, with insecurity in the Northeast at its highest level. President Buhari and the APC governors met a Nigeria that was going down the drain. So we want to appeal to Nigerians not to judge APC from the sins of the past, but possibly judge APC from what we have achieved within the last 2 years of Buhari's administration. But we often say to Nigerians that we must take responsibility and we shall no longer push responsibility to anyone. Therefore, Nigerians must hold APC accountable and responsible for all affairs of this nation. And we assure you we shall not fail. We have perhaps some of the best governors this nation has ever produced, ranging from Sokoto to Ogun, to Borno, to Plateau, to Kebbi, to Jigawa, to Adamawa, Katsina, Osun, Oyo, and the host of them all. When you visit these states, you will know that Nigerians made no mistake electing them as governors of the various states. When I came in here yesterday, I was curious to know what is happening. And the best way to find out what is happening in a state is not to hear from the government officials because they may be biased, but to hear from the grassroots and the ordinary people in the street. I made my inquiries and gladly to note that today, Kebbi stands out in the agriculture sector of our economy and has helped a whole lot in ensuring rice production, thereby saving the Federal Republic of Nigeria a lot of foreign exchange, which we are spending before to import rice into Nigeria. We'll commend you, the Kebbi people, and we'll commend the government and people of Kebbi State. While we're talking about power supply and electricity, we are shocked to hear that there's steady power supply here in Kebbi State. At least 16 local governments have done that. Among some of the activities taking place in the health sector, education sector. Our colleague, Governor Bagudu, is not a miracle worker, but definitely is a man that has good heart and has pride to deliver on his words. We assure you that Governor Bagudu will not fail the people of Kebbi State. At this point, we have resolved to do everything that is humanly possible to fix the economy. And believe me, the economy is being fixed. One thing Nigerians do not understand is that as you are close to your son, you might not know that he's growing. But you cannot deny the fact that this is the first time in the history of Nigeria that issues of corruption have been taken headlong by a sitting president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. This is the first time that the agricultural sector is no longer a theoretical fabrication, but a practical steps have been taken to ensure food production in our land. This is the first time the issue of terrorism and issues of insurgencies have been practically tackled. We're not out of it yet, so ours will be to continue to plead to Nigerians to bear with APC. At the end of our 4 years and 8 years in office, Nigerians will judge us right. So we now want to, in the policy, the statement we have made, that we're asking for synergy, policy synergy, between the three tiers of government, between the various ministries, and between the various parastatals in government. Today, agriculture has done well because our Minister of Agriculture is partnering with states in ensuring food production for our people. This is why we're here, because we can no longer cut our coat according to our size in Nigeria. We can only cut our coat according to materials available. And this is why we're trying to pull all resources together to ensure food production in our land. And that's the policy synergy that we're all talking about. All the governors are here to also compare notes and see what we can learn from each other. Today I have learned that working with discos and encouraging them in one form or the other can guarantee electricity. I've taken that from Kebbi and I'm running to Imo State to do that. We are united. And in the Governors Forum, we do not know who is a Yoruba man, Hausa man, or Igbo man, a Christian, or a Muslim. We are one. And that is what we advise all Nigerians, that this is a time that hunger could be speaking a different language, making us believe that we are of different tribe and religion. But indeed, we are one Nigeria. Let us tackle the issue of hunger in the land, and I'm sure these old issues will be corrected. So for those of you who will still imagining that there's a problem in Nigeria as to the unity of this country, again, let me emphasize, like Kebbi have said, Nigeria will remain one united, indivisible nation, no matter whose God it is. We have no other nation better than this we can call ours. So it's our duty, incumbent in us, to protect the unity of this country. Statements of hate and statements of division must be disregarded, and no Nigerian should take those statements serious. For me, I'm an Igbo man, but I was born in the north. and my business success come from the West. So Nigeria remains my constituency at all times. And that's why we pray that everyone should sing the song of unity for this nation. While we await the acting president, who will be coming here to speak on this occasion, we, the governors, will today assure that in Kebbi State, all support should be given to our colleague to enable him to perform more. I want to thank at this point the chairman of Kebbi State Traditional Council, who gave us a very warm reception. Your Royal Majesty, God bless you and your colleagues here. And to the good people of Kebbi State, who say thank you and we love you all. Thank you very much.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that was Rocha Sokorocha, the chairman.
The Progressive Governors Forum chairman, His Excellency Owele Roches Anayo Okorocha, the Imo State Governor, a businessman and philanthropist, born September 22nd, 1962 in Oboko, Imo State. His Excellency Roches Okorocha obtained a diploma and an advanced diploma in public administration from the University of Jos and has served in various capacities, such as the President of the Nigerian Red Cross Society, founder, Roches Foundation, President, Roches Group of Companies Limited, among others. And now a summary of his speech.
Thank you very much, Abdul Mohamed Bello. Roches Okorocha briefly told the gathering that he was grateful to all Nigerians for the support and that the president is doing well and will be back very, very shortly. The governor also stated the state of affairs and the challenges they meet on ground when they took over power as progressive government.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me now hand over the microphone to my colleague to continue with the program.
Thank you very much. I quickly recognize the Secretary to Kebbi State Government, Babale Umaru Yauri, and all other Secretary to Government of State, APC, here. Your Excellency, I am going to hand over to His Excellency Senator Ibekunle Amoso, the Governor of the presentation aspect, which is the next on the program. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Your Excellencies, our traditional rulers that are here, our elders that are here, members of the Federal Executive Council that are here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I've just been quarantined or maybe commandeered to come and moderate this session. And it's gladdened my heart. I consider it is a very good privilege for me to so do. So let me quickly go straight to why we're here. I think it's very important that we as state governors, we understand, please, the session has started, and I think we will all benefit if we all listen. Thank you. That is very important for us as government, particularly those of us at the state level, because it is the state, there are no federal people. It is the state, various states that constitute the entity, the country called Nigeria. So it is important for us at the state level to understand all the policies of the federal government. And I think there could be no other forum or way to understand that other than this kind of events that have been planned together, to understand, to hear directly from them, to now tie and weave all these various policies together, such that we will synergize the synergy between all the policies and all that we do in our various states. We will now combine both, and of course the result will be beneficial to the entire nation. And I'm thrilled with those that will be speaking here. I've seen our leader, our elder, the Honorable Minister for Agric and Natural Resources, Chief Audu Ogbe, a veteran that will be talking to us, taking us through the whole gamut of agriculture, not just agriculture, it's agriculture that will lead us to industrialization, agriculture that will make us feed ourselves, agriculture that will make us even earn money. Even by the time we finish feeding ourselves, we may now begin to take advantage of all the value chains that agriculture offers. And this is one key area where the federal government is so passionate, and that is diversification of our economy. The era of monolithic economy where the chairman of NGF and the chairman of BGF, this is your show. So we need you to be with us. The era of having a monolithic economy is gone in Nigeria for good. And that is why I'm happy that the Honorable Minister of Agriculture is here with us. And I've seen that we are still awaiting the Honorable Minister of Finance and the NSA. We know nothing can happen if we do not have the necessary financial wherewithal to push it. So it's important for us to listen to hear from the Honorable Minister of Finance too, how she's going to coordinate all these lofty ideas and initiatives from different ministries, how it's going to support them financially, how we are going to fund it. And I'm sure that when and if she joins us, we will all benefit from what she's going to tell us. I've seen my brother here, the Honorable Minister of Education. For me, that is the most important thing, Malam Adamu Adamu, that is the most important thing that can happen to any nation, any state. Once we are educated, we will in turn be able to fix all the other various sectors. And for me, education is the most important of all ministries, because once we are able to sort education out, our people will be easily governed. They will be in sync with whatever the government is doing and the policies that we are all even gathered here to talk about. So I warmly welcome my brother. We can't wait to listen to him. And our sister is here, Hajia Miriam Uwais. You realize the federal government is working their talk. They've introduced, I think, about 5 or 6 social safety nets. They just want our people to just suffer. Those that are less privileged, they are taking care of them. There are several programs, and I'm sure he will come to talk to us about all of those social safety nets that the federal government have put in place. Of all the things that we have said, nothing can happen in an atmosphere that is insecure. And that is why we await the NSA to come and talk to us about security. Let me use this opportunity to quickly, before they begin to fire the salvo and we begin to listen to them, commend our brother, the governor of Kebbi State, for a job well done. Yesterday, just like what he said, we saw it, you know, seeing is believing. You don't need to be told. We are around and we see what we are doing. He did mention something when he was giving his opening remarks, that there are some places, and I'm sure our royal fathers are here to confirm that before the advent of this administration of Muhammad Buhari, President Muhammad Buhari, that they could not even farm because of lack of security, because of the insecurity. That now all of them are back to work, all of them are happy, they're doing their job. And that is why security is very key, security is very important. The chairman of our great party is here, is just joining us. Chief Odige Oyegun, John Odige Oyegun is just joining us now. Maybe we'll just give them 1 minute for them to settle down so that we can continue. Welcome, sir. Thank you.
The All Progressives Congress is a Nigerian political party formed on 6 February 2013 in anticipation of the 2015 general elections. The party is the result of an alliance of ACN, CPC, and ANPP. The party received approval from INEC.
We are going to be taking our notes. We'll be listening to them. So let me start with our elder, the Honorable Minister for Agriculture, Chief Audu Ogbe, because this is the way, this is, I think, the sequence in which they want this policy to be done.
Your Excellency, the National Chairman of our party, Your Excellency, the Governor of Kebbi State, Your Excellencies, the Governors of APC states, Your Highnesses, Secretary to Government, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This is a great privilege indeed for us to sit together and look at how things are going in government, and for me in particular in the Ministry of Agriculture. I think it's very, very apt that we're meeting in Kebbi, because when we came in, the policy of government was to quickly stabilize the production of staple crops, mainly rice, beans, millet, sorghum, and then, of course, the tubers, yams and cassava and potatoes. I am very proud to inform you that by the end of this year, Nigeria will no longer need to import 1 grain of rice into this country. We had set a target of 2018. We are achieving it by the end of 2017. And I want to say very quickly that we give a lot of gratitude to the APC states, because the massive amount of investment in agriculture, the invitation of young Nigerians to participate in agriculture, the support by our governors has been fantastic. We are going to commission another rice mill here this afternoon. I think it is the 4th. If you go to Kano, you see the same. You go to Jigawa, you see the same. You go to Kaduna, you see the same. In the southwest, new rice mills are coming up. We are putting 2 rice mills in Lagos before the end of the year, and the governor has announced that he is bringing in a new milling machine into Lagos. Virtually every state under the control of this party is investing massively in agriculture. At the level of the ministry, we have 200 rice mills to be installed between now and the end of the year. And the mills to be installed in villages, in local governments, because we have another policy called LIFE, take life to the rural areas. That policy is going to see a lot of small-scale industries, groundnut oil mills, rice mills, soybean processing, shea butter processing, milk processing, and so on, in all our hamlets and villages to create economic activity in the villages. This is only timely because the rest of the world has given us notice that by 2030, they will no longer be needing petrol and diesel. The Indians have given us a date of 2030. The French and the Germans, 2030. The British, 2040. to stop using hydrocarbons. So effectively, between now and 2030, we have a very short period of time to finish with oil and gas, to stop depending on oil and gas. And that is a very big challenge. I know that usually in Africa, we are not very good at anticipating the future, but we have been given a warning. Now, if we stop exporting petroleum products, what do we use to earn foreign exchange? The most immediate option is agriculture. The next is solid minerals, but that takes a lot longer time to achieve than what agriculture has to offer. And I'll be very quick to mention a few things that can be done. We have a few challenges, some of them disease, others have to do with finance. We're aware that you governors are under a lot of stress. Paying salaries of rather large civil service outfits with very low income in your hands is putting a great deal of stress on you, and we honestly sympathize. We know that with time, we'll get beyond this. We know that you are criticized and abused and harassed because people are not prepared to know the reality of the situation. It's not your fault. The trouble is, we had revenues from oil. We thank God at least that our situation is not as bad as Venezuela, and a country richer in oil than ourselves. But we have to move quickly. We have started exporting some produce, namely yams, for instance, even vegetables, pineapples, and so on. We have been criticized for exporting yams. On the grounds that people are hungry, we have no business exporting yams. Well, let me explain to you that for the last 30 years, Nigerian yams have been going abroad through Ghana, labeled as Ghana yam and exported by Indian businessmen. So there's nothing new. What we have decided to do is to export the yams ourselves. We have been told that it is better to convert the yams to pharmaceutical-grade yam flour. The truth is that there are some 6 million Nigerians in UK, Europe, and the US. Every time you see them, they're asking you, please export some yams to us. And the price in those countries is very high. The solution to the problem is, let's produce more yams, not complain that there will be a shortfall. We are aware, however, that there is a law that says you cannot export yams and maize and beans. That law will be repealed as quickly as we can in the National Assembly. It was passed at a time when we were not conscious of the necessity of exports. We are sending a bill to the National Assembly to repeal that act. Now, by the end of next year, we'll have dealt with maize, soybeans, and a few of the remaining items which are in serious demand at home. The Northeast zone would have come back fully into agricultural production. The Northwest is leading the way as at now, but we have to make appeals to some areas of the country. The North Central, the Southeast, and South-South have some challenges which government will deal with. One of them is land clearing. It is very expensive in the Southwest and South-South and Southeast. We are purchasing heavy machines to deal with that. We believe in the next few years, 2 years, we should have dealt with at least 1 million hectares of land cleared up for farmers to engage in agriculture. But as I go forward, let me suggest this to you. Every state, every zone in this country has potential to export something. And I'll list what is there for you to export and how we can cooperate, join hands with you to earn your own foreign exchange. The following crops are on the list. Cocoa. We have now declined to number 7 from number 2 as a world producer. That is very embarrassing. We have declined in oil palm and become major importers of palm oil. We are behind in cotton production. Pakistan harvests 5 tons of cotton per hectare. We harvest 300 kilograms. Coffee was a crop we knew before. Groundnut was a major crop in which Borno and Yobe were principal producers. Cashew nuts is in high demand. Right now, we have orders from Walmart in the United States to produce 130,000 tons of cashew per annum and earn $7 billion. $7 billion US dollars from cashew nuts. It's a possibility, and cashew can grow in 22 states. Shea butter grows in 19 states. It is in high demand, and we're now going into commercial production of shea butter. Banana, coconuts for coconut oil, ginger, sesame seed, gum arabic, even cactus in Plateau for fencing farms is in demand by Japanese. It is a delicacy in that country. We are going to start planting olive trees in some of the states of the north for olive oil. And India is demanding beans, otherwise called pulses. The market is $100 billion per annum. And this was said to me by the Indian vice president. $100 billion per annum. There's no reason why Nigeria cannot take 25% of that market. Mangoes, pineapples, and so on and so forth. And in the Arab world, they are asking for goat meat, 120,000 carcasses per week. If we can produce goats, process them, and export to the Middle East. Currently, we process castor oil, lemongrass oil, and eucalyptus oil in Abuja. These are also in high demand in Europe. I think that from this list, every state in the country can specialize in at least 2 crops for export. The current talk is about restructuring. I think economic restructuring is actually the most important issue on our hands. Let every state earn its own foreign exchange as much as the state can, and we shall back you up and support you. I am a bit disappointed, however, that not all states are equipped. As we speak here, there are some states that don't even have up to 10 tractors for farmers to use. And I know there are difficulties, but we must make an effort to procure machinery, especially if we want to invite young people into agriculture. One of the worst challenges facing us is finance. And this has to do not only with agriculture, but also with industrial growth. How can we grow this economy with interest rates standing at between 25 and 35%? And this is a question you, the governors, at your meetings should ask. This has been the situation for 30 years since the structural adjustment program. How can interest rates in a recession remain at 25 to 35%? How can farmers borrow? How can agro-industrialists borrow? How can manufacturers borrow? And if they cannot borrow, how can the economy grow? I think we need to have a forum at which you, the governors, engage the central bank and the commercial banks. Let's have a debate on this matter. There is a saying that war is too serious a thing to be left to soldiers. I think the economy is too serious a matter to be left in the hands of economists. and bankers, because you take the blame. It's you, the governors, the people blame. What is our governor doing? Why isn't he creating jobs? Why is the government not doing this, not doing that? The private sector is locked out of investment. And I'll round up by saying to you, this is a topic you must take up with the CBN governor and the bankers and the economists. When will Nigerian interest rates come to 1 digit? For 30 years, they've been telling us this story. The story is not working. And if it doesn't work, we, the politicians, are the ones in danger. And please don't play with this matter, because those who hate us, if you read the internet, those who wish we should be lined up and shot, those who say we have stolen everything, are not aware that there is a limit to what government can do. How can we keep borrowing at 35% and hope to grow an economy? I'll leave this matter for you, and may God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, as always. I know
before the session continues, let us take you back to the history of the formation of the All Progressive Congress Party, which happened to be
all the gamut of
the body of the Progressive
entails,
Governors Forum.
The value chain in agriculture, why agriculture is so important.
The All Progressive Congress Party was formed on the 6th of February 2013 in anticipation of the 2015 general elections.
Millions of our youth there.
APC candidate Muhammadu Buhari won the presidential election by almost 2.5 million votes.
The full value chain that agriculture offers.
On the 31st of March 2015,
particularly
this was the first time in Nigeria's political history that an opposition political party unseated a governing party in a general election.
He has
one in
enumerated
power is transferred
those challenges that we face
from one political party to another.
From logistics to
in
financial,
addition, the APC
where
won the majority
what should be happening is to have
in the
a
Senate and House of Representatives.
digit interest rate, not
Currently,
what we are witnessing
the party
now.
is led by its
and I
national
think
chairman,
CBN,
Mr. John
just
Odihi
like what he said, we should involve
supported by
CBN more
his deputy,
and get all our banks
national chairman for the North,
to believe in agriculture
and
not just believe in quick money. And once that is done, indeed, let me even classify this. This is what we devoted almost 1 hour yesterday when the governors met. We complained about this, that agriculture is not being well funded. That if you look at the quantum of money that is even being given to other sectors, if they are able, if the government is able to contribute, maybe even 20% of that. But that is not to say we should not appreciate the effort of the current administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. And I'm happy that you've mentioned that Kebbi is a very good example, and you reel out all the states that are doing this. You talked about land clearing, which you know and you know. For some of us, in the north it's different. It's different challenge, maybe challenges of irrigation and what have you. In the southwest, it's a huge challenge of land clearing. Indeed, land clearing will account for maybe about even 60–70% of, the investment in agriculture. So thank you. We have taken our notes, and I'm sure my brother governors, they have done that as well. We will see how we can push all these ideas, all these innovations forward so that people can benefit. Once again, thank you. We are indeed very happy and grateful with what the federal government is presently doing. But there's a lot more to be done. Thank you. Let me now move to my brother, Malam Adamu. We call them back home. I call the Commissioner for Education Commissioner 1. And I think I can say Minister 1. The first, because everybody, if you are not educated, clearly there's nothing we can do. Indeed, once you are educated, nobody can get you to be used anyhow. And that is what we are facing now. The security challenges. There's this nexus between education, even all this unemployment that is happening to the insecurity that we are having. So, Malam Adamu, I think the floor is yours to educate us because you are the chief educator in Nigeria today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. The chairman of the party, Chief John Oyegun, the chairman, Governor Rochas Okorocha, and other governors here present, party chieftains, other stakeholders, I would like to welcome everybody to this gathering. And like my predecessor, probably I should begin by saying it is only appropriate that this thing is taking place in Kebbi. And education is part of those invited to come and do the briefing because Kebbi and Gwandu produced the greatest pre-independence intellectual, Sheikh Abdullahi. So we are just coming home to do what was already here. Before I start my briefing, let me just tell you, immediately I became minister, I took out the party manifesto. And I looked at the promises made by the party and by the candidate. I think I found about 28 in all. Some of them only needed political will. Many of them needed funds. So I sat down and people in the Ministry of Education, we did the costing and we came up with a figure of 4.2 trillion. And the budget of Ministry of Education has never gone beyond 400 billion. So that was the context in which we knew we had to operate. And internationally, as a best practice, education is always measured using 4 criteria. The criteria of how it has been able to give access to it, the criteria of whether it does this access with equity, that is all people, all classes, girl, child, man, woman, those with disabilities and so on are able to access it. And then the issue of quality. The last one is funding, which is something that is done to it. And in the developing world, especially in Nigeria, I think we have to add the issue of relevance, whether what we are doing is relevant to our needs in the society. Immediately after looking at the manifesto, we sat down and drew up a blueprint, which we call the Ministerial Strategic Plan, that addressed all these issues. And in our belief, it offered solution to all of them. And so starting with access, what we did, we eased, without dropping the standard or quality, we eased the procedure for registering universities at the tertiary level. During my time, I think we have registered 8 private universities. We are now in the process of registering 4 public universities, 1 for the Army, 1 for the Navy, and a maritime university. And at lower levels, we ease we ease access, especially at the basic education sector, by making money available to states for basic education. And here, I'm happy I'm in front of governors. I know the project you have, but I will have to tell you we are surprised and sometimes even disappointed that some of you still have not accessed your funds. About 42 billion is lying in the Ministry of Education waiting for governors to access them. I know the demand on you by so many contending issues are such that you will not be able to spare the money. And the government is already addressing the issue by trying to lower down the counterpart funding that is expected of you. I hope Immediately this is done, you will be able to access whatever is available to you. In the issue of equity, the ministry, especially along with the international development partners, we have tried to make it easy through our girl education program to encourage girls, to encourage women to go back to school. And under mass literacy education programs, we are targeting adults who have been left out before and are now struggling for illiteracy. The biggest problem we found, and which we think this administration should focus on, is the issue of out-of-school children. Nigeria is by no means a poor country. We have the resources, we have the people, and I think the will is there, only that it has not been articulated or put into effect by our leaders. But we lead the world in the population of out-of-school children. We used to have about 11.4 million children out of school. And with Boko Haram, another 1 million have been displaced. So we have about 12.4 million children out of school. I think this should be unacceptable to us. And I would like to appeal to governors, when a strategic program comes into effect, it is you who will shoulder this aspect of the burden, because basic education by the Constitution is a state matter. I hope you will be able to support the federal government in this direction. And we come to the issue of quality, both at the tertiary level and at the basic level. The ministry has done a lot to ensure quality. At the basic level, I think we have revamped the examination process such that NECO, NAPTEP, and other bodies that conduct examination at the basic level do so under careful invigilation. They do so under a lot of guidance from the ministry. And there is now synergy. About 4 of the parastatals join NECO in conducting the examination. At the tertiary level, I think we have standardized the CBT centers where examinations are held, so that issues of exam malpractices are eliminated. A CBT center now holds about 250, and each one is covered by CCTV, so that at least the invigilation will make sure the person who sits for the examination is the person who is actually supposed to sit for it. Perhaps I should mention that we have just so many challenges, including the first one that I said. Funding, we need about 4.2 trillion just to realize the promises that you made to the people when you wanted the votes. But besides, that is just for the promises you made. There was already demand by education on our resources before the promises you made. Therefore, 4.2 trillion will only solve what you have promised to do. In other words, let's say in 2016, the federal government voted 440 billion for education. States in total voted 563 billion, a total of just about 1 trillion. This expenditure is in addition to what you have promised people. And this is what the ministry has designed the strategic plan to help the party realize. Therefore, I'm appealing to states. I hope they will be able to do their part which the strategic plan imposes on them. And I think I should comment on the challenges, especially what is presented to us by the insurgency. The ministry ministry has already prepared and given to the Northeast Initiative on what is required for education. It has come to about 42 billion, and it is our hope that this one will be available to the states so that they will be able to take care of the damage that has been done by the insurgency to the basic education sector. The ministry will be responsible for the schools that have been damaged, equipment that have been vandalized, and so on. Perhaps at this forum, I think I should also address the issue of very unfortunate and for me very, very painful. Recently, there was allegation that the Ministry of Education under me is trying to Islamize the country. I have given explanation elsewhere, but I think this is the best forum for me to address it directly and once and for all. When I became minister in 2015, I found out that the administration before our own had formulated a policy in 2012. Because of the multiplicity of subjects, I think they tried to put together subjects IRK, CRK, and social studies, so that that will give students one elective. You choose one out of that group. It was implemented first in 2014, 1 year before this government came into power. Immediately I came, I was briefed about it. And at the first National Council on Education, which took place in September of 2016, I asked the council, and the council agreed with me, that this policy should be jettisoned. And the National Council on Education on September 30th, 2016, cancelled the policy. We are not the ones who formulated it. We cancelled it. And in my speech, which is available to people, and in the communique that was issued after it, I said we are doing this because we think religion is too important to be grouped with any other thing. And I called upon the National Council on Education to support me to make CRK, Christian Religious Knowledge, compulsory for all Christian students up to the end of senior secondary school. And I asked them to support me in making Islamic religious knowledge compulsory for all Muslim students up to the end of senior secondary school. And the council agreed. And as far as the council was concerned, that became the policy. So I was really surprised how a rumor like that could even have started, because even the smallest effort to check for the facts would have revealed what actually happened. And if But if people still believe that, then they should look at what I did. What I did was to cancel the policy. Therefore, instead of accusing me, actually they should commend me for canceling it. And I thought I should let you know. The chairman has said I should round up. The challenges are many, but I hope I will have another forum in which to let you know. Thank you very much.
Briefing by the representative of the federal government, Malam Adamu, Honorable Minister of Education. Before the next presentation by Hajia Mariam Owais, Special Advisor to the President on Investment, let's take you for a ride along the composition of the Progressive Governors Forum. Well, basically, the Progressive Governors Forum comprises of all the state governors of the All Progressive Congress Party, APC, the mega party, which was born of a merger between the Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, the All Nigeria People's Party, ANPP, the Congress for Progressive Change, CPC, and members from all the People's Grand Alliance, ABGA, among others.
Or maybe it is just the men or the boys alone that have the opportunity to access education. The third one, which I think again is key, and that is the quality, because it's so important. Not just education, but qualitative education. And finally, he talked about funding, because without adequately funding education, we will not get the best out of education. So I think he talked about the challenges too. There are several of these challenges. And to our governors, he talked about assessing maybe UBEC fund. But I think the problem there, he has mentioned it too. It is the counterpart fund, because it's difficult for states, I don't want to say governor, to find the money, their own 50% really. I think they can lower. And I think I'm speaking for all my brother governors. Either they eliminate it completely, or maybe just a party, maybe 10% or so. 10%, so that we just show our commitment. There's no governor that will not want his state or his people to be educated, because we know it will be in our interest to so do. One area where I know he has talked about is this specialized university. I expect to hear again this vocational and technical training. What is it that we are doing? It's so important if we are going to get it right. Well, in funding, I think we have to commend Mr. President, this present administration. Yes, we may not be where UNESCO said, UNESCO standard and all of that, which I think is about 20, 25, 20 something percent. But I think we are doing better than before, and I think there's still room for improvement. So on that note, I want to comment, and I know all my brother governors have taken their notes, and I think we will take the Honorable Minister for Education. We are going to take him on some other, when we have opportunities, particularly on the areas of this UBEC and other challenges that we have in education. Just when he was making his presentation, the Honorable Minister for Finance, Mrs. Kebbi Adeosun, walked in. So you are warmly welcome. I know that there are several areas that we are talking about. We are talking about diversification of our economy, which will be signposted. We have signposted with agriculture that will lead us to industrialization. We have talked about education. Education is very key and critical. We are going to listen to all the social safety nets. There's a saying that I like to all of the time when I have opportunities like this, and that is, we that have, we have to take care of the have-nots. If we fail to take care of the have-nots, we will not enjoy what we have. And that is why we have to commend this administration of President Muhammad Buhari again for introducing all these safety nets, from N-Power to Jeep to so many, I think about 5 or 6 of these initiatives, which I know that she's going to tell us about. Ajia Mariam will talk to us about that. Finance is here, but let me look at the way this thing is arranged. I don't know, maybe we'll allow finance to talk. She's just coming, but yes, the final one is security, which we know. Nothing positive, nothing good can happen in an atmosphere of insecurity. Maybe finance, maybe you will wait, we will round it up. Let's listen to the opportunity that the current administration is creating for our have-nots, so that we that have can enjoy what we have. So, Malam Ajia Miriam Owais, you have the floor. Tell us about all these safety nets, social safety nets, to make those that have not to be part of the system. Thank you.
The chairman of APC, the chairman of the forum, Your Excellencies, the governors here present, honorable ministers, distinguished senators, members of the State House of Assembly, and the good people of Kebbi State, including, of course, our royal fathers, Sarki Ngwandu, Sarki Argungu, Sarki Nyawuri, and Sarki Zuru. I'd like to first start by saying that this is the first time an administration has put aside money for the most vulnerable and the poorest people in this country. As an amount of money was set aside, 500 billion, for uplifting the conditions of those that are most in need. This has never happened before, and I must commend the APC for putting it in their manifesto, because without that promise, a lot of these programs would not have taken off. We have had several social protection programs in the past by government and by NGOs. And these programs were implemented without a policy in place. Thankfully, the Federal Executive Council last week passed the policy on social protection, out of which a lot of our programs have been derived. It's the consequences of our past programs were researched on, and we were not able to make an impact on poverty or reduction of many of the poor indices that we have, clearly because we had weak synergies between the federal and the state governments and even the local governments in many of these programs. A lot of our beneficiaries were not actually the poorest and the most vulnerable. We had very weak monitoring and evaluation systems. We had a lack of transparency in payments. We had poor donor coordination and the lack of a credible database. So in a bid to address these issues, the Office of the Vice President was asked to coordinate a lot of these interventions by having a concerted effort and a focus on many of these issues. And so the dedicated national resources were aimed and strategies were formulated to ensure that we set up mechanisms that actually address these issues. I'm really delighted that we have this opportunity, because a lot of our programs would be ineffective without the governors embracing our programs. At the end of the day, education, agriculture, health, empowerment, all of those issues are driven at state level. This is why we can only have interventions. If Nigeria has 12.4 million children out of school, it is a concern that the federal government will have, but it is for the states to address, because the issue of primary schools and secondary schools are actually, most secondary schools are actually within the mandate constitutionally of the state governments. And so looking at what has happened in the past, we looked at NAPEP, we looked at SHOPI, there were a lot of tensions created because staff from federal were placed to work at state level. And they were weak and ineffective because they were not willing to share information. We were not able to monitor what was going on. And so we set out deliberately to ensure that the states take ownership of these programs. we set out to ensure that the states actually give us the full commitment for the programs to be able to run within their jurisdictions. We asked each state governor to nominate a focal person with enough access to be able to escalate any challenge quickly. But because we were working with several ministries and agencies in the state, we need somebody to coordinate all the activity, and we know the governors are too busy for us to keep calling them on many of these issues. One of the first things we did was to create a method of targeting, to insulate it from a lot of the challenges that had existed in the past. There were a lot of vested interests, so not the poorest people were being targeted. Again, we wanted to set up mechanisms that were structured and to ensure that there's clarity in our roles, that at federal level and at state level, that there's efficiency and there's coordination between the ministries at federal level, because some of them are working with the states, but also between the federal, state, and local governments. So what we have at federal level in the Office of the Vice President is a very lean team, given the implications. If we decide to have officers at state level, the overheads will take away all the money that is meant for our poor and our vulnerable. So we ask the states to give us their manpower, their human capital. We're not asking for counterpart funding, but we're asking for your support and your commitment in terms of logistics, in terms of office space, in terms of human capital, that are people that are capable and have the passion to drive these programs. Once you give us that, we will pay the beneficiaries directly. So one of the things that we have set out to do is to ensure that all our beneficiaries have a BVN and have an account number, so that we're able to pay them directly with no middlemen in between. And in doing that, we have an audit trail. You can see the funds going, and you can, if any money is not paid because we can't find these people, the money goes straight back to the Ministry of Budget and Planning, where our money is housed. Beyond that, getting a BVN for each of our beneficiaries also ensures that the overall national interest of bringing people into the economic fold, our formal economy, is achieved. Once you have a BVN now, you're ultimately going to have a NIN number, a national identity number. Many of our beneficiaries are being registered for the first time. We're beginning to know where they are. We know where, so they can't be excluded. We can now plan and be able to include them in many of our plans. So it's all about inclusivity, about trying to reduce the rates and trying to build capacity within the states so that we're able to fulfill the promises of this administration. The first program that we set out to do is the N-Power, which I'm sure many people are aware of. We're recruiting graduates from around the country in a very transparent process. They apply online. You don't need to know anybody. You apply, you indicate where your interest lies, you indicate your age, your qualifications, your BVN number, which we will verify to authenticate before we can pay. At the end of, the three programs initially were health, education, and agriculture. The graduates applied to serve in communities, to teach in primary schools, because we found some primary schools that had only one headmaster and 300 to 400 teachers. And we have graduates who have no jobs. They were willing to go in there and work based on a monthly stipend of 300,000 naira. 30,000 naira per volunteer. Each of them now we've been paying them since December. Of course, we have had challenges, which I'll come to towards the end, but the idea is for them to go and teach in these schools, and they should live ideally within those vicinities It had nothing to do with the state of origin. As a federal government program, any citizen can serve anywhere in this country. It was more about 30,000 naira. How can you survive on 30,000 naira if you live far away from the school where you're going to teach, or you're going to serve smallholder farmers, or you're going to work in a primary health care center? You have to live within that area so that you are able to serve and even be able to eke out a living from that 30,000 naira. And of course, very good stories are coming out. We have young people who are already taking ownership of their lives, taking care of their families, even buying computers, doing different things that show that all they needed was a gentle push towards where they wanted, where they had passion to be. We sat down with the Ministry of Agriculture, drew up modules of what it is they were interested in seeing our volunteers work on. We sat down with the Primary Healthcare Development Agency, discussed with them what is it that you find are the gaps missing so that our volunteers in health can support you. They need not be doctors or nurses, but they can help you with management, with enumeration of houses or households, or sanitation or hygiene issues. And we came up with all of that information. We've put them in devices, and we're now giving the devices to these volunteers in the different states. We have had volunteers from every single local government in this country, and all of them are now about to receive these devices, which also have, the GPS that show whether or not they go to work between 8 to 4. So far, we have paid over 93% of the first batch that we have selected. We just closed the portal. The Minister of Finance and the FIRS also approached us. They're selecting people from our portal to train them on community tax, to bring people into the tax fold, and that is also going smoothly. We have a cash transfer program that is targeting only the poorest in this country. For now, we have a budget that can only cover a third of this country. So we're looking at a third of the poorest senatorial districts in each state. We are training the staff in the ministries of planning of each state, and also the local governments that we have identified. Many of the states have gone far, but some are still lagging behind. For them to be able to identify these people, go into the communities, get the communities to identify the people that are the poorest. And we put them on this device that automatically ranks them, because we ask them for information, the households that are identified. What are your assets, if any? What is your income, if any? How many children in this family? How many have gone to school? How many youth? And we have all this segregated data that we're placing in the Ministry of Planning that we're hopeful the state itself will take cognizance of and use it for planning, because it is really critical information for us to be able to uplift those of us who have not been as lucky or privileged as we are in this country. So far, we've paid over 70,000 households, and 12 more states have drawn up almost 400,000 names on our social register. This register collectively is placed in NIBS, and our beneficiaries are being paid directly. The homegrown school feeding program is critical. It's a community enhancement program. It's targeting classes 1 to 3 in all the primary schools in this country. It's aimed at boosting enrollment. It's also aimed at boosting their nutrition. But apart from that, it's creating sustainable jobs for the women in the communities where the primary schools exist. It's also being linked directly to the farmers in those communities so that they're able to buy the food directly from those farmers. In that way, the 70 naira budget per meal is sufficient to address the needs of nutrition. The Ministry of Health has sat down or is sitting down with many of the state ministries of health to draw up a menu that is contextual, that is accessible, foods that are accessible in that state. And what we ask the state governors to do is to link the smallholder farmers directly to the cooks, so that they know that they don't need to go to the market to go and buy, sell their produce and wait for a buyer. They know that consistently every 20 days, food, all their produce will get bought up by the cooks who are feeding the children. We're enumerating the children, we're deworming them, and we're linking them to the nearest primary health care center in the state. The final program is the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, which targets people at the bottom of the financial pyramid. It's meant to, it's a loan that's given anything between 10,000 and 100,000 naira to cooperatives, people who need the loans need to form cooperatives. We're not asking for collateral, but we're saying anybody who has a cooperative, that leadership will endorse that the members of the cooperative will not default in payments. There's no interest element, but we have a 5% administrative fee. So if you take 50,000, you pay back 52,500 after 6 months. Because we are actually taking in aggregators, we're paying them for them to go around and authenticate the cooperatives. We're asking them to collect the funds for us. So we need to pay them. This money is actually housed in the Bank of Industry, and the Bank of Industry has supported us by giving us all the wherewithal to be able to have a reach in all the states. So with political commitment at federal level and also hopefully at state level, in many of the states we do have a lot of support, but I've taken the liberty of printing out where each state stands in respect of each of the programs, and given each of the excellencies sitting here so that they're able to nudge the focal persons in their states in respect of the places where they're lagging behind. We're also, we've done the process actually through Action Aid. We've been able to get civil society, one NGO that has affiliations with community-based organizations in every senatorial district, to give us a feedback on how well we are doing, so that we have an independent voice that will tell us if there are any challenges happening, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, so that we're able to include that in, because it's an evolving program, or all our programs are developing, and we're trying to adjust to ensure that we meet the peculiar requirements of each of the programs. We've gone quite far in building up this social register, which we feel is really critical. We've been able to get authentic and verifiable identities. We're achieving financial inclusion for many of our beneficiaries and a level playing field for all. As when this administration came in, they said every citizen in Nigeria is now, on focus, not necessarily anybody related to or belonging to a political party. This is new. This is the first time a political party is coming out to say, we want to work with everybody fairly, we want to support everybody that is poor. So our challenges so far, some of the issues that we have seen is that some of the focal persons are not IT compliant, and we do a lot of work virtually. Many of them are doing very well, and I must commend them. But I have included TORs for the focal person in every folder, so that you please examine and ensure that the focal persons that are working with us have the capacity to engage, because we have discovered that the programs are as good as the focal person. If the focal person is passionate, then the programs are able to run seamlessly. They also need a lot access, direct access. And this is why I believe at one of the NEC meetings, the acting president suggested that the focal person should please have offices domiciled in the office of the governor. Unfortunately, we have found, like in the homegrown school feeding program, a lot of the women that are being selected to feed at primary school level have political muscle. And this is causing challenges. When we go for monitoring, we call them, you haven't been to feed for 3-4 days, they say they're too tired. And they're married to either the chairman of the local government or the councillors, and this is a challenge for us. Because at the end of the day, it is the children that are suffering. So I'm pleading that you please insulate this. You make sure that it is women that are good cooks, that live within the vicinity. We call them, it takes 2 hours for them to come, which means they're coming from the state capital when we visit the communities where the primary schools are concerned. Please rearrange this thing, because at the end of the day, this is not free money. This is money to feed young children. And what is happening is food that is meant for these children is being taken out of their mouths. That's the bottom line. We also have challenges with some of the banks. So I'm requesting, because the states select the banks that they work with, please ensure we have a service level agreement that they have agents in the communities where the primary schools are existing, because some of the cooks don't get paid on time because the banks are saying, oh, we don't have a branch there. That is not right. In fact, we found a state where, and sorry, not an APC state, where the bank only had only one branch was being utilized deliberately, and the cooks were being made to sign 2 tellers. Half of the money was all they could take. The other half was being kept by the bank to share with the lower state officials. When I told the governor, he was shocked, because the children were being given biscuits instead of the food that we had designed for them. And, well, by now, he has sacked everybody. Even the bank has sacked all its staff that was involved. And this is important, because it is only if money gets to them on time that they are able to to feed on time. So please keep an eye out for those issues to ensure that the agents are able to reach them on time. There seems to be communication gaps. Some of the governors are dealing with also the program level officers. The structure is we have a focal person, and then we have team leads or program leads for each of the programs that are meant to report to the focal person. And we find that some of the governors are speaking directly to the program leads, and so there seems to be some kind of tension. We ask that you please rearrange the structure within your state so that there's one accounting and reporting mechanism to you, even though you don't close the doors to any information. Another thing we found, another huge challenge, is most of our beneficiaries are illiterate. Most of them live in hard-to-reach terrains. So we're having to have huge discussions or conversations with financial services for the poor, with the CBN, with EFINA, a lot of the NGOs that are working hard to ensure that money actually gets to these poor people in the states. And we've had to engage the civil defense to ask them to give us armed men, because what we've discovered is when we go to pay the poor women in the communities, the youth sometimes gather and demand for tolls and say, what about us, what about us? So we need to protect these women. And we're hoping to open up to the states to give us security for those issues, you know, because some of these people are really, really poor. They have never seen 10,000 naira. I know in one of the states, a woman was to be paid 10,000 naira. She came with a Ghana must go. You know, and she was asked, what is this for? She said in her life, she's never seen that amount of money. She just wants to be able to carry the money home. And she was unable to count the money, neither was her husband or her children. Somebody who spoke her dialect had to come up to explain to her what that money could do for her. And she was just praying. She was praying for the governor. She was praying for the president. She was praying for this administration. And you know, we would be shocked at how much one can do, even with 3,000 or 5,000 naira every month. We see the difference it makes to the lives of these people. This is where we're appealing for a seamless structure within the states so that you're able to have stability. Because if you have less youth that are disengaged, who don't have any jobs, the better for the state. You're now having free teachers, free agricultural extension workers. All you need to do is give us the support that we require so that we can pay them to do what they need to do. We have another issue that we found is some of the people that go in, some of the staff at state level are not as meticulous as they ought to be. And when we ask them, they say we're not being paid salaries. You know, so we're asking that please have a focus on our staff and give them priority, because they go maybe to take enumeration of a household and they say the children are at school and they could be lying. The person does not wait until the children close. They just go back, and we say, we have to go back to those households to confirm, is this, he says, well, I haven't been paid a salary, so why should I spend my whole day waiting for children? We need more commitment in terms of compliance. We all signed MOUs with you, with your attorneys general in your offices. We need office space. We need competent personnel. We need security, publicity for our programs, logistics, and that will enable us continue to build up the numbers. We have set targets for ourselves, and we want to be able to impact on at least 1 million poor people this year. We haven't been up to half of that, but we're really ramping up. Unless we have your support, we won't be able to go by. Please try and insulate a lot of these issues. Ensure that it is only the people that are poor. Otherwise, we won't be able to reduce poverty in this country. Again, when it comes to enrollment, I get all kinds of questions. What about infrastructure? What about uniforms? What about all those issues are state issues. We've noticed that where we have commenced homegrown school feeding programs, where we have commenced, we found that there's a boost in enrollment. So infrastructure has to be provided by the state. Some of these things need to be stimulated, and please take a look at what is happening in your primary schools and put measures in place to ensure that these are able to happen. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for your support in anticipation.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajia Miriam Uwais. You noted what I said in the beginning when she wanted to start. I said until those of us that have provides for the have-nots, we will not enjoy what we have. That's why I allowed her to flow. She took 32 minutes, whereas when our elder, when he spoke for, I think about 10 minutes, I wrote 3 to 5 minutes I was showing him. When Education Minister, Malam Adamu, had the floor, I have to tell him that please round up after about, I think, 14 minutes. But for her, she took 32 minutes because it is about the less privileged. It is about those that have not. So we must give them their own opportunity to flow, to explain to us so that we can appreciate them. So well done. She has taken us through from N-Power to homegrown to JIP to all of those and the challenges that they are facing. Indeed, she has explained to us the direct correlation between nutrition and learning, and that is why they are doing this homegrown. Besides that, it employs our people, all these SMSC, small and medium-scale enterprises, our farmers, our women, everybody is having one thing or another to do. So well done to what the federal government is doing. Well done to the office of the Vice President and well done to you that is, I think, running the show there. So we are glad that we have the woman that keeps all the money. You remember I said that back in Ogun State, the Commissioner for Education is Commissioner 1. Now the finance will say, I am Commissioner 1, but education is Minister 1. Finance is here now, she wants to say she's Minister 1. No, because without education, she won't be in the position to even talk to us. So we will allow her to tell us, we know how important money is, with all these wonderful ideas, lofty ideas. When there is no money to drive it, everything will just remain undone. So we know, yes, she's important, but before you came, I've christened education as always as Minister 1. So we'll listen to somebody that will allow us, he will tidy all of these loose ends up, whether it's in agri, whether it's education, whether it's social safety nets, whether it's security, we need money to push all of this. So, Honorable Minister, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency. With your permission, I'd like to please stand on the existing protocols so that I stay within the time you have allotted me. I want to thank everybody and thank especially the organizers of this event for bringing everybody together. I've come and my slides are showing. Thank you very much. If you can move please to the next slide. I'm talking about funding Nigeria's needs from within and why we really, with what Nigeria has been through, need to change our funding model. And of course, we've spoken a lot about how we needed to rely less on oil and do many other things in Nigeria. And I'm going to be showing why that's very important and the role that the governors especially will play in so doing. So please, if you move to the next slide very quickly. This is something you all know. Nigeria's tax to GDP ratio is actually the lowest in the world at 6%. Most of Africa is at 17. Most advanced economies are at about 36. Interestingly, there is no poor country that has a high tax compliance rate, and there is no rich country that has a low one. So if we aspire to be a prosperous country, we have to move from that bottom group upwards. And if you move to the next slide, this is a very important slide. Nigeria is not an oil economy, and I'll explain why. Saudi Arabia has 30 million people, and every day they have 10 million barrels of oil, which means for every barrel of oil, 3 people share it. Iran, 80 million population, 3.9 million barrels a day, which means for every barrel of oil, 20 people are sharing it. Nigeria, I'm sure you can see it from here. We are 180 million, 2 million barrels of oil, which means 90 people are sharing 1 barrel of oil. So we are not an oil economy. We modeled ourselves on the Saudis, the Qataris. We are not an oil economy. We are closer to other countries. These are the countries we should model ourselves on. Egypt. Egypt has some oil, but Egypt is not really known for oil. Egypt has 91 million population, 490,000 barrels of oil a day. And Mexico has 127 million, 2.1 million barrels of oil a day. So if there's any country we're more similar to, it is Mexico, not Saudi Arabia. So we have to move to where they are, not where the Saudis are. Next slide, please. Now the next slide shows us those same countries, their tax to GDP. Look at Saudi Arabia, look at Iran, that's where we are. Look at Mexico, thank you, and Egypt, that's where we need to be. Mexico has a tax to GDP ratio of 20%. Egypt has 16%. We are at 6%. So it is very, very clear that we must find a way to effectively collect revenue from the wider economy, not just oil, so that we are not vulnerable, so that we do not go through again what we've been through in the last 2 years. And this has an implication. Our budgets are generally very small. If you add all the state budgets and the federal government budget and local government budget, Nigeria's budget is 11%. It's the lowest in sub-Saharan Africa. What does that mean for the governors and for everybody here? When people keep complaining, you haven't paid salary, or you haven't done this, or you are not doing that, it's because you actually don't have enough money. You're in a trap. By the time you've paid salaries and paid debt, there's not even enough money to run government. There's not enough money for overhead, money for programs. The rate of our population growth is 8% a year. If we do not grow our revenues fast enough, then every year more and more people will slip into poverty. More and more people will need to be in Mrs. Uwaisi's programs. So we have a very, very urgent need to raise revenue and to increase our budget size. Most countries in Africa, budget size is about 22% of GDP. We're at 11. So we have a long way to go. Most advanced countries, budget size is 40% of GDP. Some of the countries we go to and we admire the infrastructure, like France, 60% of their GDP is their budget. They have a very big government, and therefore they're able to provide services for their people. So we really have a big job to do to breach the issue of revenue. So what is government doing? We've got to mobilize revenue. In the short term, we have no choice but to borrow. But we must increase our budget size to do so, and therefore we must increase revenue. We already launched the Voluntary Asset and Income Declaration Scheme, which is effectively a tax amnesty program. I'm pleased to report that so far we've had very, very positive feedback. We've had a number of very large companies and high net worth individuals already approaching us and telling us that they're going to comply with significant amounts that are due to the Nigerian government. We're improving our non-oil revenues, particularly in the area of VAT, and we're reviewing tax exemptions, waivers, and grant schemes. We found out we have the highest number of tax duty waivers anywhere in the world, so we're going to rationalize them, because all those duty waivers reduce our customs revenue, which reduces our VAT revenue. We're going to give waivers only to the most essential areas, such as agriculture and power, and reduce them for some of the non-essential areas. So again, specific things that we're doing. I've spoken about the Voluntary Asset and Income Declaration Scheme. I've talked about how we're going to improve our non-tax revenues. And in the next slide, I want to specifically talk about the problem of VAT, which is very, very relevant to the states. This graph shows how our VAT collection sits at the moment. 55% of our VAT is collected in Lagos. Now, some people will say that's because all the head offices are based in Lagos. We agree, but that doesn't account for the disparities further down. Why is Kano at 5 and Kaduna at 1? Why is Rivers at 6 and Oyo at 3.3? Remember that VAT is a service tax, it's on goods and services. It's a consumption tax, so it should really correlate with our population. So if you take Lagos out, there's still a problem. And remember that 85% of VAT is for the states. So the low-hanging fruit for state governments in revenue is to increase our VAT compliance, and to do so very, very quickly. We have a very low rate of VAT of 5%, but the majority of people are not paying. They're not registered, they're not compliant. And that's something that we're working very, very hard to correct in the short term. Another area which we've identified is the issue of car taxes. I've shown here a Mercedes G-Wagon. If you drive a G-Wagon in Nigeria, you're the luckiest person in the world. Your rate for renewal is 3,000 naira. If you put the same car on the road in the United States, average, you'll pay 47,000 a year. In the UK, 179,000 a year. So using flat rates for things like vehicle taxes does not make sense. It's something we need to sit down with the governors very, very quickly and review, because your car is a proxy for your income. If you're able to spend $100,000 to buy a car, it is unfair for you to give us 3,000 naira to put it on the road. And I think everybody will agree that that is not fair. We should allow the older cars for lower income people to pay 3,000. But if you can afford to spend $100,000 on a car, I think you can afford to give us 100,000 naira every year to put it on the road. And those are the sorts of changes that we need to drive as we move forward. Thank you. So as I conclude, because my boss has given me a time limit, and I'm going to stick to it, but before I go, I'm going to say, because I'm sufficiently far away from him now for him not to be able to fire me or fight me, that when I was a commissioner, for about a year, my governor refused to allow me to attend the FAC meeting. And I thought it was very wicked, because it was only 2 days in the month that we had to rest. So we looked forward to FAC. And he would say, what is it you're going to do there? What is your own with what they're sharing there? Let's focus on our IGR. And we began to work very hard on our IGR. Now, it's hard work, but it can be done. When problems came, I understood the value of not having that 1 day in a month to stay in a hotel and sleep and switch off one's phone. But it's really important. And one of the things I'm hoping is that very soon, the commissioners will not come to FAC. They will not fly up every month to come and share money, because that money will be insignificant compared to the revenues that they collect within their states. It is actually far better use of time. We'll be able to send emails to all the commissioners saying, come and take your money. But really, their focus must be on internally generated revenues. It's the only way forward. So in conclusion, our budget is not large enough to meet our needs. Our population is growing fast. The demand for government services is growing fast. We must expand our budget size very, very urgently. And revenue collection is too low compared to our peer group. So we're going to have to work very, very closely with the governors to mobilize revenues. It may not make us popular in the short term, but if we all do it together and we all do it as one, in the long run, the people will thank us for it. Thank you very much for listening.
Well done. The exchequer, the one that keeps our money. We governors are not very happy that we are not getting enough money. Are we happy? No, we are not. I'm speaking on behalf of my brother governors. So you need to do more so that at least that money will flow. But talking seriously, I think it is time for us as governors, all of us, and we agreed this, that we should think less about what comes from Abuja and let all of us, think out of the box, make sure that we generate the much needed IGR at our various states. And that is why it's one of the reasons why we are even having this policy discourse. Because we know that is the only way to go. States, if we are not self-sustaining, we will be running to Abuja cap in hand on a monthly basis. For crying out loud, why do I have to know who is my Minister for Finance, if not for the fact that we need this money? And that is why we still find a formula to call her, ring up and say, what is happening? Why is our fact so low? It's because we are relying on it. Yes, it's our right, they should give us. But if, in our own way and form in our various states, we're able to generate, huge IGR, yes, if the money comes just as well, but we will not, lose sleep when it doesn't come. As we speak today, all of us still brainstorm, we sit together, talk about why is this our fact low, why is it reduced. We are doing that only because we have not been able to resolve the issue of increasing our IGR. And I'm sure all of us, we are running around to make sure that we improve on that. So on that note, thank you. I agree with what he said. Indeed, just here, Shiva Dugbe was discussing with me, saying that there was an article that says that in the whole continent, that is Nigeria, that we drank more champagne than even those nations that are producing it. So if we have that, whatever, to drink champagne, then we should be prepared to pay for it. For me, I think they should increase the duty on champagne to even maybe 1,000%, yes. Don't say because I don't drink. But if you want to enjoy luxury item, you must be ready to pay for it. So I support that, not just this luxurious vehicle alone. I think everybody, when it gets to a point that we as governor, we will notice that we just want a small car because we don't want to be paying all this big money to renew our licenses. I think very soon we are going to get to that. So well done. I think, I don't know, maybe we can give maybe just 5 minutes or maximum 10 minutes for interactive section, questions for any of our panelists so that they can shed maybe more light. But if there's none, then we will gladly thank them and appreciate them so that at least they can go and take their seat. So if there are questions, okay, I think I've seen, please can you pass the mic around? There's a mic here you can give them. Maybe you can have 2 mics, one on this side, one on the other side. We probably can take maybe 5 or maybe 3 questions from here and 3 questions from there.
Let me stand on the existing protocol. I am Senator Mohammed Umar Jibrila, popularly known as Bindo, and lucky to be the Executive Governor of Adamawa State. My question is to my uncle there, the Commissioner of the Minister of Agric. As you know, Adamawa State produces more rice than Kebbi here. You know very well, and we are the largest rice producers in Nigeria. That's a fact. The minister is aware of that. My question is, you promised us the difference between Adamawa and Kebbi mill the rice, and you promised, in fact, I think about 6 months ago, that the milling machines are coming to Adamawa State. I want to know precisely when do you think this is coming up? Thank you.
I think we better take all the questions before the Honorable Minister or those that are this panel will answer. But I have a rider to that question, and I think I will be, I don't know, I need to seek the indulgence of everybody because I'm the one coordinating this. I think I should not be seen to be asking that question. But my question will not be too far away from what Adamawa asked. And I've challenged the, sorry, I have to, make this public. I've challenged the Honorable Minister for Agric that just like what Adamawa said, some of us too, we need support of the federal government. In the area of funding CACs, yes, we've been supported, but you know it's beyond that. And I think you will look into all of us. Not that we are happy for Kebbi and the other states that are getting this support, but I think all of us need this support too. So thank you.
Yeah, Your Excellency, my question is, Oyo State produces the highest acreage of cassava in Nigeria. And rice that is being produced in Kebbi State can stay for a long time before it becomes bad. Everybody knows that cassava can spoil within a short period of time. May I ask the Honorable Minister of Agric, what is the government doing to make sure that storage is given to production of cassava in Nigeria? Thank you.
Would that be all? Let's just take all the questions so that we'll not be coming and going. Just identify who. Okay, sorry. I think General Magoro. Yes, sir. The mic is not working. Can you make it work? Okay, it's working now.
I stand on the existing protocol. My name is General Muhammad Magoro. By the grace of God, Galadima Zuru. The point I want to raise, Mr. Chairman, when the chairman of the Governors Forum spoke, he said we're in 2 years into the administration. I think we're in the 3rd year into the administration. When this government came into being, it took decisive action on corruption. As a result of it, a lot of money has been collected. A lot of them were guests of Kuje prison. This money has been kept in our account for a long, long time. The Minister of Finance spoke about IGR, where we need to generate more money. I would have thought when these people were stealing this money, they knew they were breaking the Nigerian law. If we are able to recover some part of that money, we should be seen to put that money into certain sectors of the economy. in my view, we should have been targeting part of the hydro power supply. Mambila is there, Jaba is there. Now, if this money is directed specifically on hydro, that's diversifying from the gas system, we should have gone a long, long way by now. Added to that question is, they visited Kuje. Today they are out. They are the ones funding virtually everything against APC. By the time this administration election time comes on, they will be the ones funding the election on the other side. So my question is, my brother is here, the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General, equally the Minister of Finance is there. Why are we not putting this money into use? 4 years will come and pass. And what is being done about those people that were guests of Kuje prison? I would have thought we'll have a, where the judiciary will also go around. This is the executive now briefing Nigerians. The National Assembly does the same thing. Why shall we see the judiciary going around to brief us on the cases they're handling? You hear some cases start, how they end, nobody knows. And many of them are in the cooler as of now. There is a need for assistance to be brought out where the judiciary should also justify its own existence. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Well, maybe just one more and that will be it. Okay, I think Senator Sonny Kamba and I can't see the face. Just let's take those two and we end it so that... Who else again? Senator Kamba, you have the floor.
All existing protocol observed. My question goes direct to the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Ogbe. There's rumor or news going around now in Abuja. Your office has issued license to import maize. Hearing now.
Sorry, we are not hearing you well. The mic, please. Can you sort the mic out?
The office of the Minister of Agriculture has issued import license for importing maize. And it's just a few minutes ago, you told us that we will no longer import rice by December. Are we now putting our meager dollars to import maize, which is not sufficient or being produced by our farmers? Thank you.
Maize. Yes?
The next person is...
Yes. Your name, sir?
Your Excellency, my name is Mohammed Bulama, Commissioner, Home Affairs, Information and Culture, Borno State. I stand on all existing protocols, and my question is, or my comments are directed at Hajia US. And first of all, I know that the social intervention programs of the federal government are about 5. You know, she spoke about only 3 or so.
I noticed, yes.
So I wonder what's happening to the other 2. And secondly, I thought it would be helpful if you give us detailed statistics about the beneficiaries of this program. For instance, how many Nigerian youths have so far benefited from, say, the N-Power program? How many women have so far been engaged to cook for our school kids under the school feeding program? You know, how much quantum of money has so far been allocated to these beneficiaries? You know, I thought that would help. And then thirdly, specifically with respect to my state, the school feeding program, which we think is extremely very important for us because of the situation in which Borno has found itself. Somehow there's a delay in the commencement of the program. And we wonder why, because we thought that at our level of preparation, we have a very, very focal person, and he's been doing his best. And the state government has thus far provided the infrastructure. We've built many schools. We've built up capacity. We have done our best to make sure that our children have gone back to school in spite of all the odds we are facing. And we thought that the delay in the implementation of this very, very important program is actually setting us back. So we just, I thought it would be nice if we knew why the delay is still coming. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. That would be all. Sorry, that would be all. I think either you have their email or something like that. But without prejudice to what Hajia Mariam Owais is going to say in response to your question, Honorable Commissioner, I think she did mention, because she has this table with her when she was doing the presentation, I think all probably she needs to do now is to just maybe copy that or make it available. But I remember at NEC, these are the questions that governor asks, and they usually come with like a spreadsheet and to show us. So, but I'm not preempting maybe what she's going to say. But she did mention while she was doing her presentation that she had the list, the schedule of those that have benefited and those states that have even performed well and those that are lacking behind. She said something like that when she was doing her presentation. So let's cede the floor to the Honorable Minister for Agriculture, because he has about, I think, 4 questions, finance 1, and I think Hajia Owais 1. So you have the floor. You have 4 questions.
Your Excellencies, very quickly, Adamawa State, you do produce a lot of rice. And what you need in Adamawa is large-scale rice mills. Now, the federal government does not, on its own, invest in rice mills. The rice mills we have are of categories of 10 tons a day, some 20 tons a day, some 50 tons a day. We are giving those out to cooperatives and individuals who responded to our open bid. But what I advise you do, or what we may help you do, is to find investors who are willing to come to Adamawa and set up large-scale rice mills. Because we are going to commission a rice mill shortly, this afternoon. It is a private sector program. The rice mills in Jigawa are private sector programs. The rice mills in Kano, in Ebonyi, in Anambra are private sector programs. So we are not competent as a government to attempt to set up a rice mill and pretend we can manage it. We cannot. So we will help you. There are investors who come making inquiries, and I assure you I'll direct some to come to you. And that goes for everybody else. Now, Ogun State, just as we sat down, I was commending the governor for buying 10 new bulldozers, expecting another 10 for land clearing. We need a lot of those machines in Ogun, because if you don't clear the land, you can't move in machines into them. And there are some things that we said we were going to help them do, which we haven't done, and we are going to do them anyway. I just finished a tour of the Southwest, and we're going to do the Northeast, Southeast, and North Central. Then we've been visiting the Northwest quite frequently, but we'll still do a tour. Because when we go around, we talk to farmers, and we get to hear what they have to say and the challenges they face. Now, for rice farmers, the good news is that we're bringing you small machines to harvest rice. Because rice farming is very tedious. Villagers have to bend down, cut the rice, beat it on the wood, and winnow it and put in bags. As a result, we lose almost 25% of all the rice planted on the farms. If you can remove that labor, rice production will jump very, very quickly. But the good news is that we came in 2015. Rice production stood at 5 million tons of paddy. By the end of May, we had hit 17 million tons of paddy. By December this year, we'll be at 22 million tons of paddy, which is twice what we need. So milling is the next strategy. And when you go to WACOT today, these are expensive investments. That's a 10 billion naira investment. It's not cheap. So when we talk of investment, that's why I talked about the banks. How can you borrow at 35% and make this kind of investment and still survive? Now, Oyo State, you cannot preserve cassava. There is no technology yet for preserving cassava unless you process it. You either convert it to ethanol or to industrial starch or to high-quality cassava flour, or you process gari, or you produce slurry out of it and make a sugar product which the breweries use in making malt. For now, there is no known technology for preserving cassava. It becomes very rancid. Within 48 hours of harvesting cassava, if you don't process it, it has no value. But the good news, we are about to harvest all the cassava leaves everywhere in the country, pelletize them for feeding cows. We are also going to harvest cassava peel and pelletize for feeding cows. But as for cassava itself, we need to build factories. And finally, distinguished Senator, the story about the importation of maize sounds very strange to me. The Ministry of Agric does not issue licenses for maize. We only issue licenses for fish. So we are not issuing any license for anybody to import maize, and I personally hate, anybody who knows me knows that I hate imports of things we can produce. I have continued to complain for the last 40 years, my 40 years in politics, that what destroyed Nigeria is reckless importation. You heard of champagne just now. There are people who go to a party and drink 2 bottles. There is a brandy sold in Abuja for 560,000 naira, 1 bottle of brandy. There are those who must drink this nonsense, and I was just telling the Honorable Minister, we have to task them. The tasks should go 100%. Because while they are drinking this thing, some poor families are drinking mud called water. If people must drink expensive drinks, let them pay. I was in North Carolina in August, and I met the governor. He told me he runs all the schools in his state from tax on alcohol. So I don't like imports. If we can avoid it, if I had my way, most of the things we bring in here will never come in here. So thank you very much.
You need clarification on maize. Okay, so please go ahead.
Well, permit me to speak on the existing protocols. The information or the question asked by distinguished Senator Akamba is very relevant. Yesterday, we had confirmation that about 300,000 metric tons of maize is about to berth on Nigerian ports and is for poultry feeds. This information cannot be wished away. We are opposed to any importation of any cereal in this country, especially maize.
No.
With the information, Mr. Chairman, I want to give additional information.
Make it snappy.
Let me stand on existing protocol for want of time. As an idea to what my brother said, it is true that presently we have 4 shiploads of maize being imported from Brazil, and it's currently being discharged in Lagos ports. And this is very, very serious. There was 1 ship that had already been discharged and cleared at Port Harcourt port. And not only maize, World Food Program, an agency of United Nations, imported 10,000 metric tons of rice, and we were reliably informed that the Ministry of Finance gave the license to import the rice. So both rice and maize are currently being imported into this country. We consider this to be a policy somersault, and it's certainly going to be very, very counterproductive, because we have mobilized our farmers to produce both rice and also maize in large quantity. We have equally convinced millers to come and invest heavily in rice milling or rice processing. But here we are allowing importers to import rice, processed rice that we can produce locally, discouraging our farmers trying to export unemployment into our country. I don't know why we should do this.
Okay. Distinguished Excellency, Senator Aileo, I think the point is made, and the only thing that I heard there was you said, is it Finance Ministry or Agri? I think both of them are here. They should be able to.
That's why I'm raising the question. Both of them are relevant. We want them to speak to Nigerians.
Yes, both of them are here and they should speak to it. I think Agri should take.
Well, distinguished Senator, I'll make it very clear to you. I don't issue licenses for imports. That's not the function of the Ministry of Agri. 2, nobody has asked me to allow them to import either rice or maize. Now, if people go and import these things, it's the business of the customs to stop them.
Okay.
I don't deal, and let me tell you, I'm not saying so because you're sitting here. I'm telling you, if I had my way, importation into this country would have stopped 30 years ago. So I do not know who gave license for importation of maize or license. Now, rice has not been officially banned yet. It is smuggling that is banned. But if they bring rice and they pay the correct duty, they cannot sell it in this market. Smugglers are bringing in rice, sometimes with the connivance of people who should be stopping them. As for maize, I am not even aware that anybody brought maize from Brazil to the port. I do not know, and I don't support imports. There is a problem with maize production, however. We have the army worm, which destroyed a lot of maize farms last year. We have now found a cure for it, and we are distributing those chemicals to farmers. I don't support food imports. I will never support food imports for as long as I live. So I have nothing to do with it, and I'm not sure that the Minister of Finance, I do not know, but she's here, she'll tell you herself.
Honorable Minister for Finance. Please, can you come and sort is it working now? Can you sort her mic out?
Okay. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I can confirm that the Ministry of Finance does not issue import licenses at all. We never have. It's not our business to do so. What we have discovered recently is that under the guise of donation, some agencies have approached us asking for duty waiver to import donated rice. And we have said no. If you want to donate rice to our IDPs, come and buy it here in Nigeria. And indeed, I'm sure you read about a case last week that we discovered somebody who said they were bringing in mosquito nets. When customs opened the container, It contained 5,000 units of phone, each phone valued at 100,000. So we are now inspecting any container that comes in claiming to be a donation is subject to 100% inspection by customs. We are very determined to support our farmers, to support our economy. There's no way the Ministry of Finance issues licenses for anybody to import rice. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. I think we now know that neither the Ministry of Finance nor Agriculture has issued or supported the importation of maize or even rice or any commodity for that matter. Yes, I think our security agencies will have to take a lead from here, and they have been put on inquiry. So they should do the needful. They should dig deep and find out who is, if it is true, who is responsible for this. And I think the customs, I mean, this is a live program. I think somebody somewhere must be listening. And I can even say now, part of what we are going to say is to say they should look into this, inquire and find out the veracity of what we've said. So what the allegation that has been made here. So thank you. I think finally, 1 minute. Is he on this? I don't think we should be flogging this. We can be here till whenever. I mean, it is to say yes, they've done it or what? Okay, please, quickly.
No, I just want to confirm that the vessels are there. That is one. Two, the issue is you don't need license to bring in maize today because maize is not on the prohibited list of import.
We're not hearing you, please.
I said, yes, it's true. There are vessels out there with maize. But the truth is that you don't need license today to import maize into Nigeria. That is what we have to look into. Because
okay,
it's
so
not
we
on
don't
the,
need license
yes,
to import
it's not on
maize.
the prohibited list. You are allowed to import maize, pay appropriate duty, clear it and sell or use. So that is what we need to change.
It's bringing a new total dimension to it. If, I mean, the law hasn't prohibited importation of maize, then people can still bring maize in, just as they can bring rice in, or any of these staple crops that hasn't been banned. So I think now this is a policy decision. We should find a way to ban the importation of all of these staple products. We should. They said they've not. If they have not, there's nothing anybody can do with people bringing maize or rice or any staple crops for that matter that hasn't been prohibited. Let's take the final one from which I think I've answered, unless you want to.
Yes, good afternoon. Just to quickly run through the statistics. So far, we've paid 163,556 beneficiaries of Empower from the past program. The others have mismatched. We opened a portal for actually only 300,000, but we got over 2,560,000 applications. We now have to sit down. Our budget can only pay 150,000 more this year, and then 150,000 more next year. For the cash transfer, we've paid 69,846 households. We're in 12 more states with 380,000 new people to pay from next month. So far, we've fed 2,918,942 pupils in primary schools around 14 states, and 34,869 cooks. Jobs have been created for cooks. For JEEP, we've disbursed 96,345 loans in 31 states and the FCT. We're ramping up with our agents because it's only where we have agents that we're able to pay. Finally, with Borno State, I have given His Excellency, the Governor of Borno State, what has caused the delay in Borno State. It is not from us, it's from within Borno State. Some things need to be structured properly. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. But I think what he's asking is that you should further analyze them state by state to know what has happened, what has come to each of our 36 states. I think that is what, so please, what you should do is to give us. Honorable Minister for Finance, I've just been reminded that you have not said anything on stolen, looted fund. Thank you. Thank you for reminding us.
Thank you very much. His Excellency, the Acting President, has asked us to aggregate all the money recovered in various accounts and to look at projects within the budget that should be tagged to those monies. They're largely in the area of power and roads, solid infrastructure that we will now put labels on to say this was funded by recovered funds. And as of yesterday, I think the Minister of Power, Works and Housing brought his list of suggested projects, which will clear with His Excellency and release out of the recovered funds to fund them. Thank you.
Even though he's not a panelist here, but I think his presence here, we should... No, that's what I want to... I want the Attorney General is here. I mean, I think that question, he should be able to shed more light. He's here, and we should take advantage of his presence here.
Kindly, the Chairman, refresh my memory on the question so that I can address it.
General Maguru is right beside you. General, sir, can you please, he said he forgot the question, or he didn't listen.
Mr. Chairman, the point I raised is that a lot of money has been collected. I don't know what is the total amount. And it has been lying in an account, or various accounts, perhaps with CBN. There's a need for that money to be put into use. What I said, when they were stealing this money, they knew they were breaking our laws. We have not even recovered all. So what we have recovered, why are we saying we can't use it through the cost? What I'm saying is that money should be targeted for use, particularly on hydroelectricity production. Okay. If there's a law why we can't use, that's what we want to know. That law should be amended so that we can use the money.
Okay, sir. You mentioned something about Kuje prison, severally.
I said many of them are guests of Kuje prison. They are working freely today. And they are the ones that will be funding the campaigns that will be coming. So we want to know why are the cases lying low. And I said the judiciary should be made to come and account to Nigerians. They should tour like the executive is touring, like the National Assembly is touring. Explain to us what has been happening to these cases. Okay. Not only of the stolen money, there are so many other cases. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, General. By way of reaction to the first question, that is relating to putting the money that has been recovered into use. One thing I think the General very much knows is the fact that expenditure is a function, is a constitutional function of appropriation, and that exclusively is the responsibility of the National Assembly upon preparation and presentation of the budget by the executive. It's not something that the executive can simply dip its hands into the recovered funds without the supporting legislation by way of appropriation. That settles the question relating to the putting the money for use. And I think the idea put across by the General is something that can be considered, one, by the executive for the purpose of preparation and laying of the budget, and then two, to be jointly as well considered by the legislature, which has the responsibility of making law through the process of appropriation. As it relates to the fact that some of the people allegedly charged to court moving all over the place, I think I have to make it clear that the issue that relates to the freedom and liberty of accused or suspects is a chain that involves the executive, the legislature, and indeed the judiciary. but the ultimate powers relating to the grant of bail and enjoyment of freedom of an accused or suspect lies exclusively with the judiciary, which has the responsibility of determining or exercising a discretion to grant bail or refuse bail in any given circumstances. But above all, the responsibility of ensuring that no corrupt suspect or accused enjoys freedom is exclusively that of the legislature, which has the responsibility of changing our laws to ensure that people that are charged with corruption and associated vices are not granted bail if we consider it a vice or endemic that calls for such discretion on the part of the legislature. I thank you most sincerely.
Well done. Thank you. I think we will all agree with me that we've had a wonderful session. My brother is itching to talk, but I know you have the opportunity. You can just call them, and they will explain to you. They're all here. Minister for Agriculture is here. Minister for Finance is here. Minister for Finance, I think you are in line of fire now. You have to go and see the governor of, my brother, the governor of Katsina. He wanted to ask some questions, but don't worry, time will not allow us to take those questions here. When we finish off, just go and meet him. I'm sure that, anyway, on this one, I'm on his side, though. That one, what you are talking, I'm not with you. Say the money belongs to the, don't worry about that. The money belongs to all of us. So please ask that question when she gets down. I'm part of that's your thoughts too. So I think we've had a wonderful, very incisive session. And I have to thank and commend everybody that have been part of this. And I want to commend those that have actually formulated this, that we should share knowledge, we should share experiences, particularly in the area of our policy, and how we can synergize amongst ourselves, among the various ministries in the formulation of their policy, and between even the executive and all of us at the state level, at the federal level, and those at the state level. So on that note, I want to thank and appreciate our elder, our leader, Chief Abdu Ogbe. I want to, in the same vein, appreciate my brother Malam Adamu, appreciate the Honorable Commissioner for Finance and Minister for Finance, and by no means the least, the coordinator of these social intervention programs, Ajia Miriam Uwais. So on that note, thank you, thank the audience, thank my brother governors. My brother governor from Jigawa, governor of Jigawa State, Governor Badru, should please come up and continue with, I think he will be moderating, I think, the next session. So, but let's take a group photograph before you go, please.
During this photo session, I shall take you to the aims of objectives governing.
Yes, sir. Okay, I've just told him. Okay. He's going to run.
Well, the Federal Government Progressive Governors Forum, PALE, on Policy, Synergy and to ensure development is about to wrap up from here, the Kebbi State capital, Birnin Kebbi. On behalf of all that see to the success of this telecast, I am Abdul Muttalib Mohammed Bello and my co-presenter Abdul Salam Abubakar signing out. And as well, we are hoping to have you on the network service of NTA for the rest of our programs.
Open your fuel tank.
Hold on, please. Let me calm down.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Hope you've rubbed off your meter.
Oh, Oga, we no longer tamper with our fuel dispense meter because it is cheating and corruption. I will always sell fuel to all customers at the correct amount because change begins with me.
Nice one.
Yes, how much, Oga?
Fill up.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Hot Sports cranks up the heat this Saturday with fresh sports news and incisive analysis backed by exciting visuals. Hot Sports, your unique source of sport information, education and entertainment, inimitably delivered via hot, scorching argument where no one blinks. Don't miss it.
Welcome to the program, The Eagle. My name is Aisha Gambari. Aisha Muhammad is with me on the program. Hello.
Hi, Aisha. Good evening to you, viewers. Thanks for joining us as we bring you another interesting edition of the program.
The program is The Eagle, coming to you from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
The Eagle, showing on this station every Monday from 3:30 to 4 p.m. Watch out, EFCC will anywhere, anytime.
Was there any time Nigeria was not Nigeria?
Time, by the 1950s, principles matter. But today, it is not principle, opportunism.
I was part of the first set of Nigerian cadets that started the Nigerian Navy.
You cannot say you love God if you don't love your country.
Which one did I prefer at that time? And I said, the one that called me evil genius. You are evil, you are a genius.
Once you've laid the right foundation at primary school, the sky is the limit.
I don't say you should knock off where you come from, because that's really what helps to mold you into what you are.
When I became president, it was estimated that 60% of our people were living below the poverty data.